the Black community. I am Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell, and I am one of your hosts. In fact, my co-host today is Caleb Alexander, who is a New York Times bestseller, and Chris Dawkins, who is an entrepreneur and activist in the community. We are missing our founder, Fred Williams, and hopefully he'll be back soon to join us. Today's Hot Topics is going to be two topics. One is the topic of whether President Joe Biden should run again. And then the second hot topic will deal with the importance of estate planning for Black families. So today, we'll start with the first topic of whether Joe Biden should run for president. Chris.
Whether he should run for president?
Uh-huh.
Of course he should run for president. I mean, I don't see any reason why anybody would have any doubt. And we understand he had a bad debate, when he had the debate.
We all have a bad night.
We all have a bad night. But for me, I'm not and have not advocated for him to step down, maybe 45, 90 days before the election is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense to me. And when you look at everything that this guy has done and you look at the alternative, you got to vote for him. And for me, Donald Duck could be running. I'd vote for Duck before I vote for Trump.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, so and I don't think the alternative is not Donald Duck versus Trump. So the thing is, I think people are raising this question because they are so scared that Trump may win, and so that's why they're raising this question about getting a candidate that could defeat Trump, that would have a better chance of defeating Trump. And so I think that's kind of what the argument is. People are afraid that he may not be up to the task of defeating Trump. So I think that's
I got a solution for that. I have a solution for that. Okay, the Supreme Court has said that a president basically could do whatever he wants to do. So from my standpoint, with Mr. Biden, okay, let Mr. Biden run.
Okay.
If Mr. Biden loses, he can do like his predecessor wanted to do. He don't have to leave office, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he can say he's going to stay in office. The key is that he needs to have, and people need to vote, a total Democratic ticket. Because if he's got the House and he's got the Senate,
mm-hmm.
and he decides if he wants to stay in office and continues to stay in office, even though he lost,
mm-hmm.
okay? And the Supreme Court says he can do that now, okay? He's doing it as an official act. He's doing that. Then, after that, come January, when the Congress meets, if they have the majority Democrat in both Congress,
mm-hmm.
then he can, and I didn't say this before, but he might have to suspend the Constitution to be able to do that. But once he does that and he keeps himself in office, then he can get the Democratic Congress to reinstitute the Constitution, and he becomes president still.
What?
So don't worry about
that makes him no better than the other guy. That makes
it doesn't, but it's a solution for us. But he's doing it for good. He's doing it for good.
But
for good.
But before I let you jump back on him, one of the things that I was impressed with was that whether you love him or hate him, Joe Biden knows foreign policy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He builds foreign relationships. And we got Trump running around talking about he didn't know anything about NATO, but it took him 2 minutes to know about it. We're talking about a statesman versus Donald Duck.
Right.
So I think that as a Democrat, I think that as a group, that just like Trump's followers are hanging tight with him, no matter, this is even though he's been convicted, convicted felon, he's been all kind of things wrong with this man. I think that as a party, we need to step aside and stick with this man if we're to avoid what Trump and his thugs are trying to do.
Let me get on Caleb and say I know he wants to advocate for some others. Who would you advocate for?
It's not that I'm advocating. It's just the question of, can he beat Trump? I think that's the question on everybody's mind.
Who else is better?
Can he beat Trump?
Who else is better?
I mean, there's been several names that have been thrown out there, right?
Okay, Michelle Obama.
Michelle's been thrown out there. But I think the thing is, so after the debate, right, the contrast was that the people that went out there to kind of do damage control, like, for instance, like Gavin Newsom, right? So you contrasted what you saw on stage during the debate with the young, vibrant Gavin Newsom, who's going out there doing damage control, who's talking policy, who's being an advocate for Biden's policies. And so the contrast was enormous between the two. And so I think that some of the people they're putting out, they like Gavin's policies. They like some of the things that he's doing in California. California has an excess energy capacity on their grid. You know what I mean? And so whereas Texas is faltering,
again.
Right.
Newsom ain't burning up California. I mean, I don't see him doing so well that everybody in California is trying to stay there or trying to get there. They trying to get out of California.
Yeah, but that was before Newsom became president. That's California.
Newsom ain't never been president.
I mean, that's before he became governor. You know what I'm saying? So that was before Newsom became governor of California. People trying to leave California. And even after he leave the governor office, people are still going to be trying to get away from those high real estate prices and taxes in California. But no, I mean, so Newsom, he's been thrown out there. He's been a very effective governor for California. And of course, Harris. So we do have to talk about Harris. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, because people are talking about abandoning Biden, but they're not talking about replacing Biden with Harris, right? So they're talking about
which I think is wrong.
Right. So we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Oh, if this movement to replace Biden, but not replace him with his vice president.
But you know, during the interview that he had the other night, where he mistakenly called her Trump.
Right.
But he did recover at the end.
Oh, did he?
He did recover at the end. He says, I would not have selected Kamala Harris to be my vice president if I didn't think she could become president.
Right.
He said that.
And what president wouldn't say that?
Well, he has to be loyal to her.
I picked her, but I never thought she could be.
But here's the question, right? If this movement to replace Biden gains momentum and he is not replaced with Harris, black people going to abandon the Democratic Party? Stay home, not
I've
vote.
seen that argument already out there.
Right, that argument's out there. Would Harris stay on as someone else's vice president?
So considering what you just both have laid out there, it seems like you're making an argument for it would still be better than to cause the chaos that it's going to cause to keep Biden in office or to keep Biden to run for the office, as opposed to him abandoning the position and then opening up all this Pandora's box that y'all talking about. I mean, it's going to make things even worse.
Well, I think that right now, if you got to go back to his discussion about what happened at NATO, one of the things he mentioned again in that interview is that the foreign leaders of NATO are very concerned about this election as well. Okay. And so for him to leave right now, I think would put not only the United States in trouble, but it could put the whole NATO alliance in trouble, because Trump is trying to wants to tear down NATO, because he's pro-Russia, he's pro-China. You know, so the NATO leaders are already concerned about the what ifs. So because Biden is so strong on foreign policy, his best bet, in my opinion, is to stay the course. Yes, he's 81 years old. there's going to be some diminishing of some skills. But FDR pulled this country out of the Great Depression from a wheelchair.
Right.
Okay. So I just think that the Democrats need to rally behind this man and start showing that what they're showing are weaknesses in the party. He's talking about replace him. None of the Republicans are asking to replace Trump, and he's got all these felon.
And nobody asked to replace Mitch McConnell when he froze.
When he froze. But you know, but I think people are the reason the Democrats are even having this conversation is what they've witnessed over time. Clooney coming out, no longer being a supporter, is based on his personal observations. He said, I was at the White House last week. This is not the same Joe Biden. He has substantially declined cognitively. And so these are people's personal observations about his cognitive decline. So I think Democrats are coming at this, they're approaching this from a standpoint of not out of disloyalty and saying we just don't like Joe Biden. Democrats are saying we love Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a fantastic person, wonderful human being, but can he beat Trump? You know what I mean? Can he win over enough independents and reassure enough independents that it'll get him over the hump in November and he can beat Trump? So it's about fielding a candidate that'll bring in those independents that will allay their concerns to make sure the Democrats remain in control of the White House.
So let me ask this then. How long do we have before the November election?
Ballots go out in 80 days.
Ballots go out in 80 days. Okay. So let's say we want to replace him. Okay. First of all, who can raise the amount of money that's going to be needed? Because Joe ain't giving them his money. Okay. So they got to raise their own money and they got to put field officers, at least one in all 50 states. Who can do all of that in 80 days, campaign in all 50 states and get everybody behind them? I don't think you got a person out
which is, Carl, go ahead and put her on the screen.
Her who?
Go ahead and put her on the screen. You know who we're talking about.
Michelle.
The Democrats their Bush candidate. There she goes. That answers your question.
But guess what?
Who could put together field officers?
Just like Jesus ain't coming right now. He ain't coming right now.
But that's by choice, right? That's by her own personal choice. And like anybody, people can change their mind. And so if it comes to a point where there is chaos, I mean, and I think the debate is the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is that the Democrats do allow for healthy debate. They do allow people to voice their concerns, voice their opinions, and then debate those things and move forward. And so she's their wish list candidate. She can put together a campaign pretty rapidly. I mean, the Democratic machine is still going to be in place, no matter who is at the top of that ticket.
Okay, let me ask this question. Do you think that she is popular in the community, both women and Black community?
And white folks.
Okay, a few of them too.
A lot of them.
Okay. So my question is, how do we know that the opposition, Republicans and Russia and whoever else is sending out fake news, how do we know they're not trying to push this, knowing that you're a Christian nationalist, would never want to vote for Michelle Obama?
Well, see, the issue is she is the only candidate. There's a couple of polls that recently happened, a couple of big ones. She's the only candidate that will be able to beat Trump handily.
But what I'm asking is, how do we trust those? Because we can't trust any poll. The polls told us last week that Biden could not basically win or beat Trump.
Now he's up 2 points.
Now he's up 2 points. Okay, so how you gonna believe these polls?
Well, polls change. Remember what's happened since his post-debate performance. He's had a couple of interviews. He's gone on Morning Joe. He did the press conference where he was confident. He was in his element, talking about foreign policy, talking about NATO. The post-NATO press conference did a lot.
Y'all wearing Joe out.
So, I mean, he's been on the campaign trail. So, yeah, the polls have again shifted more favorably towards Joe because of all his post-debate activities. They knew that they had to do damage control. They knew they had to get him out there. They knew that he had to get on trail. He had to answer some questions. He had to do some interviews. And like, again, that post-NATO interview did wonders for him. You know what I mean? And so, polls are going to swing.
So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Should he stay or should he go?
Should he stay or should he go? That was a heck of a song, wasn't
it? He don't want to answer that, folks. He don't want to answer that. Why do you think about it? I'll let you think about it. What do you say?
He should stay.
Stay.
Trying to change the horse right now, in the middle of the desert, just doesn't go well with me.
No.
I think that also we need to look at this issue from the point of ageism. Okay. Mm-hmm. Who's to say that a person in the 80s does not have the cognitive abilities to still do the job? Yes, Joe, he flubs. He's been flubbing, okay? But can he do the job?
Yes.
If you look at health-wise, Joe looks good. If you look at Trump, I'm waiting for him to have a massive heart attack at any given time.
Eating all the McDonald's.
Right. But that's dietary. But his cognitive abilities are different from what Joe has demonstrated. So they're only, 2 years apart? Two or 3 years apart. Two or 3 years apart.
Yeah.
But if you look at Trump's abilities to respond, and I mean, of course, the way he responds, it's a lie that's coming out, but he's quick with the lies, you know what I mean? So his it looks like there's a difference in his cognitive ability.
Another thing is, I'm just going to go ahead and point it out. Mm-hmm. In the Project 2025 manifesto, mm-hmm. they are defining what the traditional family looks like. Mm-hmm. Husband goes to work, wife stays home with the children. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a get to home front of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Where's Melania?
Home.
Yeah. She's staying home.
She's staying way home because nobody has seen her.
Right.
Jill is staying home also, but we see her we see her active. Mm-hmm. Melania really doesn't look like she has any interest in this situation.
At least not this time.
But I think that if we're looking at the family, you look like the Bidens. Okay, yes, his son got in trouble, but the overall family of the Bidens looks better in that White House than Melania. The Trumps.
I agree with you, and I would say this: we don't want Trump because none of our national champions that have to go to the White House don't want to have to go there and get another happy meal.
Yeah. But the thing is, we're not voting for their families, and so we're voting for a person who can make the most sound decisions in a very, very dangerous world. And it's a world that's growing more dangerous by the minute. Mm-hmm. China's growing more assertive. By all estimates, China has a deadline of 2030 before they go to war and retake Taiwan. You have Russia, of course, on the mark. And so it's understandable that people want someone who is very sharp, who's going to ask the right questions, whose cognitive abilities have not declined. It's fair. What I'm saying, it's fair. By no means am I advocating for a vote for Donald Trump. Absolutely. Again, I would vote for Mickey Mouse before I voted for Donald Trump. So the question, whoever on the Democratic ticket is going to be better than Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The question is, it's not about Trump or whoever is on the Democratic ticket. The question is, who can beat Trump and make sure that this man does not get into office? I think that's the way the Democrats are approaching this question. They're so afraid of what the damage that this man will do They're so afraid of preserving this country's democracy. They're so afraid of preserving law and order across the world. Because remember, Trump is going to betray Ukraine, which is going to open the door for Russia's continued march.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about being so afraid of Trump that we want to ensure his defeat. So
Right.
it's which candidate can we feel that will ensure his defeat? It's not out of disloyalty to Joe. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a fair question.
Very well said, my comrade.
And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and go on to our next hot topic, which is estate planning, or the need for estate planning in our Black families. Oftentimes, I think we've all have probably gotten phone calls from family members when someone dies, they needing money to bury their loved ones. So why are we not seeing more Black families go ahead and kick in the extra money to take care of their estate planning, get the life insurance, put things in a trust, get wills, what's the succession, property disposition, all of that needs to be taken care of because, for example, if someone dies and they don't have a will, the state can take over everything. So I think that we need to look at priorities. Mm-hmm. Is it, do we take care of the estate planning, or do we go buy the tennis shoes? Do we take care of the estate planning, or do we go to concerts? Yes, it will cost a little money, but I think every one of us should have estate planning. What about you guys?
Oh, I mean, looking into this, which I've done recently for a relative. So even there are some burial insurance plans. Some of these plans are quite expensive, anywhere between $200 to $400 a month. Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of Black families, an extra $200 to $400 a month may be a stretch. It may be a little bit out of reach. As the other elements for that, setting up a will, by all means, you know what I mean, to make sure that your whatever you leave does go to your family and not to the government. So there are all the different elements that are around estate planning that are not expensive that we definitely should do. The life insurance or death benefit, the death insurance part of it, whatever, that is a little bit of a stretch for the average Black family, especially in an era where inflation is out of control.
But you have companies going on TV like Global,
right?
Things like that, to where they were saying that you can buy insurance at low cost,
right?
At a low cost to take care of final expenses. So you may not be able to put your loved one in the ground at a highfalutin burial area. Mm-hmm. You may have to back down to cremate. Mm-hmm. And I know that cremation is a topic that a lot of Black families don't want to talk about. They want that body intact. But when you look at it, how many times do you go out to the cemetery to visit your loved one? Do you own that hole in the ground? You don't even hold it.
You build a house on it.
Because so I think that we need to re-educate ourselves as to what's needed and whether or not cremation versus burial.
Right.
Things like that. There needs to be some serious conversations over Sunday dinner about this. Mm-hmm. What about your thoughts?
First of all, it's very good conversation. I would hope that we could possibly look at this as a total contemporary Black voices topic, maybe in about a couple of weeks, because I think there's some professionals that we can bring on that can really help us with this. So I think it's a very important topic that we really need to have, and we really need to have it more in depth. That's number one. Number two is, right now, if I were going to give anybody advice right now, it would be look at long-term care insurance. Okay.
Get it while you're young.
Get it while you're young.
Get it while you're young.
Yeah, long-term care, because a lot of people are going to need it, and they can't get it when they need
When they get older, yeah.
Right. They can't get it when they
The
need
younger you are, the cheaper it
Correct.
is. If
And
you
get
wait
locked
too
in.
long,
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I let my policy lapse because I got one earlier when I was younger, and I let it lapse for whatever reason. And I just now reinstated. Now I'm not going to tell you how much I'm going to have to pay a month for it for so long, but I was able to get the long-term care as a rider and a life insurance policy that will take care of my son's needs, when I'm gone, as well as a cash value piece. So that's an expensive policy, right? But even if you can't afford that, if you're in your 20s and can afford $50 a month,
Right.
get that long-term care. Get that long-term care, because once your body has been under attack, for whatever reason, you will be denied. In fact, I'm not going to lie. This is what happened with me. Now, I think I've shared with a lot of you guys, I'm a triathlete, run up and down highways and everything. I have never, ever seen 225 pounds. I was almost denied because someone wrote on the paper that I weighed 225 pounds. Okay? Now, when you look at 225 pounds at this age, that's almost a no-go. And I told them, I said, I've never seen 225 pounds. And the agent knew what I do on the side. So I had to prove, I had to prove that within a year's time, there was no way possible that I was 225 pounds. So the younger that you are, I would encourage you, make that sacrifice and get you that long-term care policy.
Let me just say that, again, advocating for a total show on this. I know people that we as Black folks, have not tied into that can make this thing somewhat affordable for us. I know a company that is Latino, that they operate in a lot of Central America countries, as well as they operate in America. You can put 7 people on kind of like, I don't want to call it a policy, but that's kind of what it is.
Almost like a cohort.
Yeah, for $800 a year, okay, for all 7 people. Now, they all have to be cremated, and they will pay for the cremation, okay? But that's one of the affordable ways that I think that they can be done. These are the things that I want to be able to make available to our viewers and bringing value to contemporary Black voices by being able to tell our people where they can find different resources that are going to help them, especially when they get down to, we all are procrastinators. And we get down to the end, we talked about long-term care insurance. I can't get it, because I'm too old, okay? But the point is that when we procrastinate,
it costs more money.
We've got to figure out what is it that we can do, because the inevitable is going to happen to all of us.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to know what to do.
So, and again, about the cremation piece, even if you believe that you coming back, you're not coming back in that body that you left. So go ahead and do what you got to do. Make it as least expensive on the people that you leave behind. Make it as least expensive as possible, because they still got to live when you're gone, and you're not coming back in that same body.
Okay.
The other thing too, selling plates is not an insurance. That is not an insurance plan, folks.
That's the San Antonio.
No.
I do want to say one more thing. Even when the body is when you're gone, I would make sure that you have in writing what to do with those organs, because a lot of organs are being stolen from families that they don't know. They're being packed with everything else, but the organs are gone. But if you have somewhere written to where those organs need to go, that can help a whole lot of people, and the family knows what they need to do. With that, you want to go?
I do want to go, but I was just going to tell Kayla, my grandfather, who was 102 when he died, and we were talking about cremation, and he said, well, you know, when Jesus comes back and puts our bones together, my bones is already cremated. How they gonna get back together? He said, bury me. So my bones are all together.
Oh, Lord. We're laughing, but again, we're doing this topic out of love. And yes, we're going to make this a major main show topic and bring in some experts. With that being said, we want to first of all thank our producer, Carl Booker, as well as Linnell Taylor for helping us put this show together. And we want you to make sure you put your comments. You know, we also would like for you to hit that like and subscribe button. And with that being said, as we say on Contemporary Black Voices, we are telling our story our way.
All right.
I didn't know whether or not.
You liked it?